what every Russian schoolboy knows.
Hello, my chess friends. This is Grandmaster Yermolinsky with his Every Russian Schoolboy Knows show here on the Internet Chess Club. Last week we opened up a new month, a new series of our meetings here, and we're going to dedicate this month to studying of bishops of the same color endgames. What we did last week was, based on a practical example, we looked what happens, when you need to promote your passed pawn and make a queen. So one winning method, and how difficult it is, because, well, the problem with bishops, if the opponent gives up the bishop for your last pawn, well, you don't win. Well, you get the benefit of the defender having a relatively weaker piece, but you also get the downside of your not having a piece which is strong enough to win the game without any pawns left on the board. One important part, is looking at the bishop as a defensive piece, is that it may protect certain squares, it may stop pawns, it may protect, his pawns. One thing it cannot do, it cannot effectively harass the opponent's king. When the opponent has the king on the move, in the rook endgame, the rook can always give checks. This is the main method of playing defensively in rook endgames, and we'll be talking about this, hopefully, sometime in the future. In the bishop ending, it's not happening. Well, the opponent's king can take squares, that are opposite to the color of the bishops, and thus, keep itself safe and reach active positions. So the defense is more of a passive nature, of a fortress kind of nature. You just sit there and hope, that your defenses are sturdy enough to prevent this breakthrough. And, we'll be talking about the methods that the strong side applies to trying to get through. And I start with this endgame. This is going to be the subject of our today's talk. It's the game I played against my friend and many times teammate in the U.S. Olympic team, Grandmaster Nick de Fermian, and it was played back in 1993 in the U.S. Open, which took place in Philadelphia. For those of you from the United States that that the U.S. Open is a traveling tournament, it doesn't have a set location. Usually it takes place in some nice resorts, and it's always in August. And that year, 93, was an exception. I guess nobody picked up the slack, and the tournament was brought back to the usual location of the World Opens at the old Adams Mark Hotel in the outskirts of Philadelphia. Well, people weren't that much excited with this, but because just a month prior to that, we were there playing the World Open. But anyway, that was a tournament, and maybe, the combination of factors, the summer heat, which was unreasonable, really, even by summer in Philadelphia standards, very hot night, and the players felt tired and kind of jaded, after playing all these tournaments over the summer, and the quality of play certainly suffered, at some moment. And this position was reached already after about 70 moves of play, or maybe 80 moves of play. We had a maneuvering game where I tried to obtain little advantage for a long time before finally I was able to win a pawn. But Nick felt confident that in this 2 against 3 and only bishops left on the board, he should be able to survive. Well, yeah, let's look at this situation. Well, a traditional method of playing for a win would be to push the f-pawn forward and make a passer. This is the method one would probably apply certainly in a pawn endgame, and maybe some other endgames. But here, what good would it do to white? Notice the position of the black king. It sits right there on the light square opposite to the color of the bishops. And it'll stop the e-pawn.